My name is Natalie. I'm 28 years old, and I work as a freelancer. I met my husband when I was still working at my company. He fell in love with me right away because we worked together. He said, "I like your face." I have to admit, I was flattered, so I accepted his interest, and that's how we started dating. When we were dating, my husband was always kind and did everything he could to make me happy. Just before we got married, I quit my job. I had been working at the company for a long time and wanted to switch to freelancing, which I had always dreamed of doing, but later, I found out that freelancing is busy work, too. I thought working from home as a freelancer would be great, because it would allow me to take care of my child when they were born. But my mother-in-law didn't like the idea. She often complained that I didn't work outside the home. Whenever we visited my in-laws' house, she would ignore me. Thankfully, my father-in-law, Alex, was supportive. He would say, "It takes a very capable person to earn money from home. Natalie must be very talented. She graduated from a good university and worked at a major company." But my mother-in-law didn't agree. She felt it was lazy of me to stay at home while she was still working part-time. I responded by saying, "I work hard too. I'm doing the best I can." But she didn't seem impressed. She got upset and started scowling at me. Meanwhile, my husband was just playing a game on his phone, paying no attention. Then, in a sweet voice, my mother-in-law asked my husband, "Derek, why did you marry someone lazy like Natalie?" He simply replied, "Well, I like her face, and she does housework well." My mother-in-law didn't seem convinced and added, "I don't think she's that beautiful." To make things worse, my husband said, "Well, I thought I'd have to settle for an unattractive woman, since no one else would ever look at me that way." "Oh wow, Derek, you could have married a super beautiful woman, couldn't you?" my mother-in-law said. "Well, Natalie makes a lot of money, even working from home," my husband replied. "Oh, if she's earning that much, I'll ask her to buy me a new bag," she joked. While they were talking like this, my father-in-law suddenly became angry. "What have you been saying? Aren't you ashamed of yourselves?" he yelled. "I don't see what's so special about a woman like Natalie," my mother-in-law said. "I think highly of Natalie. Don't look at me," my husband shrugged. "No, you don't. You don't even stand up for her. Do you enjoy listening to people talk down about your wife?" my father-in-law scolded him. Then he turned to me and said, "Natalie, you don't have to put up with this." "Thank you," I replied quietly. "You can't get a divorce if you want to. You don't have kids yet," he added. "What? What are you talking about?" my husband asked in shock. "If you divorce, there might be rumors, but all you two care about is yourselves," my father-in-law shouted. He then stormed off to his study, furious. Meanwhile, my husband and his mother kept chatting, completely ignoring me. I was just thinking about how much I wanted to go back to my parents' house. One day, I decided to finally tell my husband how I felt. "Look, I'm not going to your parents' house anymore just to be ignored." "She's not ignoring you, you're being paranoid," he replied.
"She always complains about my work and talks badly about me to you," I said. "Are you saying you don't respect my parents?" he asked. "That's right, I don't respect your mother, only your father-in-law," I responded. "What?" he exclaimed. "Your father is the only one who supports me. You and your mother constantly talk down to me," I said. "That's not true, you're delusional," he shot back. At that point, I was ready to divorce him. I was even prepared to move back to my parents' home. When my husband realized how serious I was, he shouted, "I won't let you divorce me. I won't allow you to go back to your parents' house." It seemed to me that he had no respect for me, so I couldn't understand why he didn't want a divorce. "If you think you can be with a more beautiful woman, then let's just get divorced," I told him. Whenever my mother-in-law complains about me, not only does my husband not defend me, he goes along with her. One day, work was slow, so I went to City Hall and got divorce papers. I went home, filled out my part, and called my parents. They were furious when they found out about how my husband and mother-in-law had been treating me. "We didn't let you marry him just to be treated like this," they said angrily. When my husband came home from work, I showed him the divorce papers and told him to fill them out because I wanted a divorce right away. He looked shocked and said, "Hey, what are you doing? Are you hysterical? What's wrong with you?" I replied, "I don't know why I'm still with you. You don't care about me." He tried to deny it, saying, "I do care about you. I think about you all the time, Natalie." But I knew he was lying because recently, I found out he was cheating on me. One day, while brushing my teeth, I saw he left his phone in the dressing room. I didn't mean to, but I saw a message that said, "I want to make out with you again. Your kiss was amazing. It made me feel like a god." It was so gross, I felt disgusted. I took a picture of the message and sent it to myself. Then I hired a private investigator to look into what he was doing. It turned out my husband was seeing a young woman from work. Actually, there wasn't just one, there were several. He seemed to have a type, under 30, tall, and pretty. I felt furious but knew if I gave him the divorce papers right then, he would just ignore them. So I decided to go back to my parents' house and handle the divorce with their help. One Saturday, my husband suggested we go to his parents' house again. "I don't want to go. Your mom always ignores me," I said. "My mom wants us to come over today," he replied. "Well, I'm tired of getting ready just to be ignored." "Nobody's ignoring you, it's all in your head. At least I have your father to talk to, he's always kind to me." "That sounds like you're making my mom out to be the bad person," he said. "Sorry, but that's how I feel," I responded. I remembered that my father-in-law had recently shown an interest in starting a blog, so I decided to bring my laptop to help him. Even though he's not yet 60, he still seemed unsure about how to set up and write a blog. I thought that if I brought my laptop to my in-laws' house, I could do some work and maybe teach my father-in-law about blogging. When we arrived at their house, my mother-in-law hugged my husband and offered him tea, but there was no tea for me. I quietly laughed to myself because it was clear she didn't like me. As I showed my father-in-law how to set up a blog, he said, "Wow, so this is how you do it?" "Yes, it's easier than you think," I replied. "I thought it would be harder. Is tagging difficult?" he asked. "It's easy once you get used to it." "Oh, Natalie, I'm sorry for asking so many questions when you have work to do." "No, it's fine," I said. He seemed excited and brought out his own laptop to start his blog right away. While I helped him, my mother-in-law looked at me and said, "I can do that myself, it's just simple typing." I knew she was being sarcastic. When I replied, she ignored me, so I said sarcastically, "No need to be rude." After that, my husband kept pushing me to go to his parents' house again. "I really don't want to go," I told him. "But it's my mother's birthday today," he insisted. "So what? I'm not going." "What? I told you, I'm not going. Your father is nice, but I'm tired of your mother being sarcastic and ignoring me all the time." "What's wrong with you?" he shouted. "You're crazy." "You're the one who's crazy," I shot back. "You're a terrible wife. You should just leave," he yelled, and then stormed out of the house, heading to his parents' place. This was my chance. I quickly packed my things into a bag. He had always stopped me from leaving, but now that he was gone, I could finally go. I wasn't sure if he didn't care about me or if he didn't want a divorce because it would embarrass his family. Maybe he felt guilty because of his affair, but none of that mattered. I was planning to get a big alimony payment from him. When I got home, my parents were furious and told me they never wanted me to see my in-laws again. When I told them my husband had been cheating, they turned red with anger. "I can't believe he's such a horrible man," they cursed. Later, my husband called me, sounding confused. "Hey, where are you? Why is your stuff missing?" "I'm not going back to our house anymore," I said. "I'm at my parents' place." "What? Are you stupid? Going back to your parents' house?" my husband snapped. "No, you're the stupid one. You don't just treat me badly, you're cheating on me too," I shot back. "What are you talking about?" "Oh, you think you're a great kisser, huh? I've been pretending all these years. From the first time we kissed, I thought you were terrible." "Why would you say that?" "I don't care anymore. It's disgusting. I'm divorcing you." "Wait, if you divorce me, it'll ruin my reputation." "You're full of yourself, aren't you?" he replied angrily. A few hours after I hung up, my husband showed up with his parents. Just as my mother-in-law was about to speak, Alex, my father-in-law, turned to my dad and said, "Sir, I'm truly sorry for everything. I'm sorry I couldn't help Natalie more." My husband looked shocked. Hey, what are you talking about? Alex continued. I can't believe how stupid my wife and son have been. Actually, I've been wanting to divorce my wife too. You just gave me the push I needed. What? My husband said, confused. Your mother has been having an affair with her boss at her part-time job. I found out recently and was just waiting for the right time to divorce her.
My mother-in-law started crying and begged me not to divorce her son. But soon, both my husband and his mother started losing their tempers. Everyone was stunned, including my parents. After that, my husband and I divorced, and Alex divorced my mother-in-law. Since both my ex-husband and my mother-in-law were caught cheating, they each had to pay a lot of alimony. My mother-in-law is now working several part-time jobs to pay it off, just like she did when she was younger. My ex-husband quit his job and is looking for work. He and my mother-in-law are living together in a tiny apartment now. They seem to be a perfect match. As for me, I'm living with my parents while looking for a good place of my own. I'm hopeful that one day I'll find true love and get married again.